So we're going to work on the notes on section 1.5, which is on order of operations. Remember that you already have this set of notes because it's the second page where the front says sections 1.4 through 1.5. So we already started with 1.4. So now we're working on 1.5. So the topic is order of operations. Notice that this is the homework. It's also written on the board in the classroom. So often people think PEMDAS. I'm going to change the letter and say GEMDAS, G-E-M-D-A-S, GEMDAS. And the reason is because the P stands for parentheses, but there are other symbols that take precedent, meaning go first. So this is the order in which you simplify expressions that have more than one operation. So G stands for grouping. E stands for exponents. MD stands for multiplication. And the D is division. And they don't go multiplication first and then division. If you have multiplication and division in a row, you do them from left to right. And AS stands for addition and subtraction. And again, it's not that you do addition first, it's that you do any addition and subtraction that are all in a row from left to right. I'm going to abbreviate that L to R, left to right. So we're going to dive in and do some examples. So in this example, we have addition and we have multiplication. So only two operations. No grouping, no exponents. Multiplication, so we do that before addition. So we do the multiplication first and we leave things in the same order. You don't rearrange the order unless you're using one of your properties. And now we have only one operation, so we add them. Now let's look at this example. So grouping is first. So let's go back up here because we have a grouping symbol. What are the grouping symbols? Parentheses are a grouping symbol, so we have to do what's inside the parentheses before other things. Another example of a grouping symbol is a square root symbol. We have to do the radicand, what's underneath it, first. Another thing that's a grouping symbol is a fraction bar, so we have to do what's in the numerator together first before we do something outside of it, and we have to do what's in the denominator first. So it's kind of like a fraction bar implies parentheses in the numerator and the denominator. So in this expression, I do have a grouping symbol. I have parentheses, so we have to do inside the parentheses first. So 3 plus 1 is 4, and I'm not going to do anything else yet. No more grouping. Do I have an exponent? Yes. 4 squared is 16, so I do that next. And now I have subtraction and division. So multiplication and division come before addition and subtraction. So I'm going to do the 8 divided by 2 first and keep that negative sign in front of it, or you could think of it as plus a negative. So that negative stays with the 8. So that would be 8 divided by 2 is 4. And now I have only one operation, so 16 minus 4 is 12. Now let's look at this one. I don't have any grouping symbols, but I do have an exponent. So 6 squared I have to do first. And now I have division and multiplication. They are on the same level. Remember, I said we do those from left to right. It doesn't mean multiplication first and then division. It means do these together left to right. So I have to do 36 divided by 2 first because it comes first when I read from left to right. So that would be 18, 36 divided by 2, and then I still have times 3. And now I do that multiplication. So maybe you know it off the top of your head, maybe you don't, but let's do it out. So 54, so the answer is 54. And we got some more examples. So let's look at this expression. Got a lot of things going on here. Let's see if we have a grouping symbol. We do, we have parentheses. So I have to do what's in the parentheses before I do anything else. So negative 5 plus 2 is negative 3. And then I'm going to keep all of the rest of the operations as is. So now I have multiplication, subtraction, addition. So multiplication comes before addition and subtraction. So negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. I keep everything else. And now I have everything I have here is addition and subtraction. So I do addition and subtraction from left to right. So it doesn't mean I do the addition before the subtraction. So negative 6 minus 4, I do that first. So that's negative 10. And now I do negative 10 plus 6, and that's negative 4. All right, this one. Now notice that these two questions are almost identical. The difference is the parentheses. There's parentheses there. There's no parentheses here. So I have to do exponents before I do multiplication. And you're going to think, well, there's no multiplication there. But that negative sign can be thought of as a negative 1 multiplied by the 7 squared. Because only the 7 is raised to the power 2, not the negative sign. So it's really like a negative 1. Or you could think of it as a negative sign in front of the 7 squared. Those are equivalent. So I have to do the 7 to the power 2 first before I deal with the negative sign. So however you think about it, I still have the negative sign in front, and 7 times 7 is 49, and the negative sign is still in front of the number, so the answer is negative 49. Now this one's different because the parentheses, you can't do something in there because it's just a number, but it tells us that the entire value of negative 7 is raised to the second power. So second power means multiply it by itself 2 times, so it means we multiply negative 7 by itself 2 times. Negative times negative is positive, so I actually get positive 49. So notice these are different. So that's important to pay attention to. All right, let's look at this turn. We have the same thing going on again. So now that you know how it works, you just have to remember which thing works which way. So if I have negative 3 in parentheses raised to the second power, that means the entire value, including the negative sign of negative 3, is multiplied by itself twice, and that gives me an answer of positive 9. This one means the negative sign is not raised to the second power, and the 3 is, and it's multiplied by itself twice. So I have a negative sign, and 3 times 3 is 9, so different answer. Now, these are slightly different because this is negative 3 raised to the third power. So that means multiplied by itself 3 times. And it is, in fact, the entire value of negative 3. So times itself 3 times. And we can do it in order from left to right because it's all multiplication. So negative 3 times negative 3 is 9, positive, and then times negative 3. So positive times negative is negative, and 9 times 3 is 27. But let's look at this one. This one's different. It's similar to this example, but power 3. So the 3 is raised to the third, but the negative sign is not. So we have a negative sign, and then we have 3 multiplied by itself 3 times. So I'm going to keep the negative sign, and then I'm going to do the multiplication. So 3 times 3 is 9, and I still have another 3. And 9 times 3 is 27. So notice I got the same answer for these, but I got different answers for these. So that's important to note. It's because when you're raising something to an odd power, you have an odd number of negative signs. Always works out to be a negative. When you have an even number of negative signs multiplied together, negative times negative gives you positive. So that's how they're different. One last problem, and then you're going to do some practice. So I've got a bunch of grouping symbols here. So I have some parentheses and some brackets. Parentheses, brackets are essentially the same. It just helps you keep track of which ones are matched up with each other. So you always have to do the innermost grouping symbol first. So I've got to be inside the brackets, but then in the brackets I've got to start inside the parentheses. So I have to do the 9 minus 2 first. So I'm going to copy everything else and not work with it. And then I'm just going to do the 9 minus 2, which is 7. Now I'm still going to work inside the brackets because that's a grouping symbol, and within the brackets I have an exponent and multiplication, so I have to do the exponent first. So again, keeping careful track that I keep all of the other operations and the order the same. 3 squared is 9. Now I have to work within the brackets, but within the brackets there's only one operation, so obviously I have to do it. So 9 times 7 is 63. I don't need the brackets anymore because I just have a number. So now we only have one operation left, so I'm just going to add, so we get 67. So that's it for practicing these together, and now I want you to work in your table groups if you're already at the same time, and if not, you can just work individually on the guided practice. And pause the video, and then when you're ready, unpause it and you can check your answer. So now I'm displaying the answers in blue ink next to the guided practice problems. You should pause the video so that you can take your time and check your answers, because I'm about to end the video and then you'd have to start it back over. I hope you all had a great day today.